Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1116, written by dedokta, The Bill Murray Time Loop. I went to the movies years ago after a long day at work. I started watching the film, which seemed funny. It had Bill Murray in it, so good bet it would be funny. But I got tired and fell asleep. I woke up a bit later, still in the cinema, and the movie was still on. But I swear that I'd seen this part of the movie already. I tried to make sense of the film, but once again grew tired and fell asleep. I woke up a second time, and I crap you not, the exact same part of the film was playing. I looked around and other people didn't look like there was anything wrong with the film. I checked my watch and only about 40 minutes had passed, so I knew I hadn't slept right through the film. This was starting to freak me out. I closed my eyes to calm myself and counted to 20, but in the process I must have fallen asleep again because I woke up when everyone in the cinema was laughing at something, and guess what? It was the same fucking part of the film. I had enough at this stage. I got up and stormed out. I told everyone on the way out that this film was stupid and they were all stupid for watching it. I vowed to never watch a Bill Murray film again. Case notes for file 1116, The Bill Murray Time Loop. Man, if you never saw Ghostbusters, Bill Murray stars as Peter Venkman, and it's one of the most classic perfection films to ever grace cinema. A freaky event this sure was, but don't knock Bill Murray. It's not his fault reality's all messed up. Damn time loops, huh? Was it a time loop though? The spatial anomaly would have to be so small and localized just around you, because it's a movie theater, presumably there's people around you. I'm not entirely convinced it was a time loop. Maybe it was your mind playing with buffered reality. In your tired and dazed mental state, you played future events multiple times. The subconscious dam opening up to funnel in information to the conscious that seems to cause and effect to break, ironically. That'd be my bet. It's all up in your brain because of the tired state. Case file number 1117, written by JP 1119, Dear Cops and Fate. A few weeks ago, I'm driving back from my friend's house at around 3 a.m. He lives in the country, and one of my biggest fears is to hit a deer while driving. At night, especially being in a sedan and not a truck, could be an instant fatality. So I'm literally at a snail's pace, going around 30 on a 50-mile-per-hour road. It's 3 a.m., but I can see headlights in my rearview mirror in the distance. Crap, now I'm going to have to start going. About 2 minutes later, the car catches up to me. It's a cop. He pulls me over. Just wanted to check why I was going so slow. Obviously thought I was drunk. I just told him, "No sir, I'm just afraid of hitting any deer." Literally 5 seconds later, we hear a thump. We both turned around to see a family of 4 deer cross, and one of them ran right into the side of the cop car. Cop looks at me with this perplexed look, takes a look back at the deer, and then to me and says, "Good point. Have a good night." Case notes are filed Dear Cops and Fate. So those deers were serious bros, making sure the cop didn't ticket you for going too slowly, maybe saving the cop's life down the road too. It's no joke. Rural, winding roads, no visibility, not the time to be booking it at lightning speeds like most folks seem to be doing these days. Is it just me, or are drivers so much faster than in the 90s and early 2000s? I remember riding my bike around as a kid, like even before being a teenager, although this was in Canada still. I lived in many rural towns in Quebec, but over there, if you go there now, people are just booking it just the same as in any city in the US. Seems now, even in small residential streets, people are charging through like bats out of hell. It's very risky. I experience that all the time now, just walking the road on the street in front of my house for exercise. From one stop sign to the other, and back, it's exactly 1 mile, which is cool. But yeah, it's a residential road. The speed limit is 25 miles an hour, and most people go like 45. It's crazy. Case file number 1118, written by WhiteLama, The Sicilian Nightmare. Well, when I was a kid on vacation in Sicily, and we lived in a house within a hotel area, not very important. In this house, me and my brother shared a big bed on the bottom floor, while my parents and sister shared a room upstairs. The bottom floor had the toilet. So I'm sleeping as per usual and wake up in the night quite cold, which was odd since, well, I had blankets and it was Sicily in the damn summer. It wasn't cold the other 13 nights we were there. I open my eyes and see my brother standing completely frozen in a sort of walking and opening the door to the bathroom motion. I kept watching him for a while, but he didn't move or anything, which was quite odd. That's the part where I decided to turn around in bed and notice that my brother is sleeping next to me. Let's just say I laid there in bed under those covers for quite a long time before eventually passing out of fatigue. Still the creepiest thing I've ever had happen to me in 27 years. Still remember it clearly even though it was 17 years ago. Probably some still dreaming thing or whatever, but it was and still is creepy to me. Case notes for file 1118, the Sicilian nightmare. It could be that the between state, sleeping and waking, the mind isn't fully conscious and it may even be related to whatever you were dreaming of. So when we dream, the conscious and subconscious link up more. Like I keep saying, the dam opens up a spillway or two, and very interesting, information flows in, although a lot of information from the conscious events of that day flow into the subconscious, so that intermingling creates interesting effect. It's like a droplet of blood diffusing in water slowly. Eventually it coalesces together, but it takes time, and until then, it's in extreme flux, creating all kinds of weird glitches by perception like this. Bonus file written by Lampshade Express, The Hawk, the Chickadee, and the Unseen World. My dad passed away on Halloween. Very sudden and devastating loss for me. The day after he died, a chickadee flew in through the open door of my screened-in porch and just kinda hung around in there for a bit. My dad was a gardener and bird watcher, had binoculars, bird watching books, and bird feeders in the yard. He loved chickadees. I thought, wow, crazy weird coincidence. But being an agnostic, kinda atheist, I attributed it to coincidence. Then the day of the wake, I was on the porch with my fiancée and we heard a very loud boom and we both ducked for cover. I got up and realized that a hawk had flown right in through the metal screen on my porch and got stuck between the rail and the screen. He freed himself, flew over to the other side of the porch and kind of sat there breathing heavily, likely very scared for like 5 minutes. My neighbor came and coaxed him out. He left a hawk in flight shaped hole in the screen. You can see where his head and wings busted through. So weird. I've never seen a hawk in my neighborhood before. Another thing, a few nights ago I was laying in bed with my fiancé and suddenly I was overcome with a very strong, powerful scent of roses. Smelled like I shoved my face in a bouquet. My fiancé couldn't smell anything. My first thought was that it could be the flowers that I took from his casket to dry out. I had them hanging across the room. Got up, took a whiff. The flowers were almost totally dry and had no smell. Walking back over to my bed, I noticed a strong rose smell again. It was strongest in a specific spot right next to my bed. Smelled off for a few more minutes and it was gone. A few other weird things have happened too. I don't know what to make of all this. Case notes for the bonus file, The Hawk, the Chickadee, and the Unseen World. I had never heard of a chickadee before. I looked it up and wow, what a beautiful type of bird. The black saw the contrast between colors. This is a beautiful story though. Although melancholic in origin from your father passing away, I find agnostic thought interesting or even atheistic, as I consider myself as a man who doesn't really know for certain what the meta layer of reality is. I do think there is one, as most hear me speaking about the simulation all the time. In a certain sense, if the simulation is by computers in another universe or by God or gods, what we experience here is a sub-layer of total reality. And who knows how far up it can go? I mean, if we die, do we just go to heaven and that's it, the final layer? Or is there another reality where the simulation is being run? And maybe even that is a simulation too. It's just impossible to know right now, until we eventually move up. So that's why I don't discount these anomalies, even if they aren't easy to explain. I can't tell you the physics involved with spirits, but I can say that having read so many thousands of accounts, spirits are like ripples, imprints on the world of their form or soul, or like fragments of it, I like to say. And I know your dad was positive just from the interaction and indeed strong appeal he has towards animals. Honestly, how can anyone trust someone to whom animals don't? And now time for the quote of the day. You can tell a lot about a fellow's character by his way of eating jelly beans. Ronald Reagan. This I just found like a funny quote. I'm not entirely sure what he meant, because I just eat jelly beans like, just eat them, you know. Maybe like people who separate the colors and only eat specific colors or something like that. But I just dive in and just shove them in my mouth until they're all gone. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.